Very few weapons have lasted like how this H&K SMG has. We're all about updating and adding attachments. Even the famed AK isn't innocent of this. A standard wood-finished AK still looks beautiful, and the classic look of an M16 is nostalgic. Throwing on an M203 and a heat shield pushes that nostalgia, but then we deviate away from beautiful guns with standard looks. This is a small niche of weapons that the MP5 claims a residence in, and this is my way to represent it with this model. Welcome to my review of the Heckler & Koch licensed MP5 by VFC and Elite Force. This is a review that I've been very excited to start. Even way back when I first took a look at the LCT G3, I secretly wished that it was an MP5 just a bit. This is a platform that has slapped so many expectations in the real world, from how long it would last to how compatible it is in comparison to other PDW style weapons. There are so many weapons that have been created to replace the MP5, and yet it still lives on, impressing more and more people every year whenever they see one. Even at SHOT Show 2019, when I walked over to the H&K booth, people were still looking at the MP5 as if it just came out. I promised to stop wanking the real MP5, but I thought I'd just set the mood. I'm about to talk about a replica of a weapon that's probably the most popular submachine gun in world history, that's been seen in countless movies and video games, a weapon that's been used in the British SAS's hands to combat terrorism during Operation Nimrod in 1980, and the thing is still used to this day. Even H&K has been trying to replace the MP5 with the MP7 and the UMP45, but despite their popularity, the MP5 just keeps attracting more and more popularity. Alright, I'll stop now. The VFC MP5 series has been very popular lately, so I guess we'll start this review off where we always begin, with the unboxing. Thanks to Airsoft GI who are sponsoring this review, and where you can get one of these MP5s for yourself for about $350. Now, if you've ever had the pleasure of having an Elite Force H&K product arrive at your door, then you'll be familiar with this packaging. It's the same stuff that came with my Ares G36 and my VFC M27 IAR. It's all designed well with the Heckler & Koch theme, with a little information scattered throughout. Opening the cardboard box, you'll see everything is well packaged. I can't complain about anything in here since nothing is shaking around. I love how the MP5 itself is wrapped in the turtle choking plastic bag as well, and held in place by these multi-layered cardboard slots. Under this MP5A4, you will find the paperwork in another plastic bag. Inside, there will be a yellow warranty information card from Umarex, who licensed the MP5 with H&K, and then there will be an Elite Force advertisement card. And then, of course, we have the MP5 manual booklet. This booklet will show you how to use your controls, how to hook up a battery in both the A4 and A5 models, how to adjust your hop-up, and how to use your included high-cap magazine that you'll find is also wrapped in its own plastic packaging, which I opened up before filming this unboxing. This manual is well illustrated with all the diagrams that you'll need, and is worded in English, Spanish, and in French. I would have liked to see a parts breakdown and a list of all the parts, but besides that, this is a good manual. And with that said, I'd say that we're done with the unboxing. Now that this MP5A4 replica is out of the box, I can really feel the 6-pound weight. This weight is brought on by the zinc aluminum upper receiver, outer barrel, charging handle, and so on. Everything that's supposed to be metal is metal on this replica, but not steel like on the real firearm. And everything that's supposed to be plastic, like the lower receiver, stock, and handguard, are made from nylon fiber polymer. Taking out the magazine from the gun and shaking this MP5 around rather aggressively, nothing wobbles around or feels flimsy. This Airsoft replica does sell for $350 on Airsoft GI, so I'd hope for as much. If you saw though, I took out the magazine before I did this. Well, that's because of this. There's a lot of magazine wobble with this included 200 round metal high cap magazine. I'd honestly ditch this magazine despite its lovely build and get a set of metal high caps, maybe even a set of straight magazines. Heading to the end of the barrel, we get a set of standard 14mm counterclockwise threads on this all metal outer barrel. Being as this is full metal, feel free to attach any MP5 QD flash hider into the tri-lug adapter if you have one available, or you can screw on any standard muzzle device onto these threads when you feel like it. The front sight follows the muzzle and it continues the theme of being made from metal like it should be. The front sight is non-adjustable, but very clear with a large post surrounded by a thick ring. This matches up nicely with the rear sight basket sight or diopter sight that can be adjusted like the G3 variant that you might have used by now. The drum can be turned either to the left or to the right, so you can choose what size aperture that you'd like to use with the front sight. This drum won't turn endlessly though. It will stop either way if turned too much, but you should be able to make up your mind on what aperture that you'd like to use before that happens. You can completely bypass these iron sights if you don't like them though, with a claw mount. Almost any MP5 looks good with the sight up top, but honestly, with the stock sights, you really don't need this. You should be fine with the sights that are already on this gun, or at least for Airsoft. Now, I'm not forgetting about the sling mount on the front sight. That will match up great with the rear mount that feels like it's mounted onto the polymer stock with a steel plate. I don't have any doubt that these would hold up the MP5's weight if hung up on a sling, so feel free to use these whenever you'd want. Then, besides the plastic handguard that actually feels very well constructed, we have the iconic MP5 charging handle. Yes, this charging handle is textured brilliantly and is surrounded by an aluminum housing, but what we really care about is this. Yes, you can rack and slap this charging handle all day, every day, as long as you'd want. I've had to have done this about 100 times while working on this review, and still nothing feels weak, nothing wobbles or creaks, and nothing sounds like it's grinding on the inside of the charging tube. Of course, it won't feel as good as something like a full-size G3 from LCT, but just how this VFC MP5 was made makes me happy. Pulling the charging handle back and locking it up will expose your slider-style hop-up adjuster. I'm sure a lot of people would have preferred to see a rotary hop-up inside here, but I'm not too sure if that would be possible with the full-sized version 2 gearbox that's inside here. Moving on to the controls of the lower receiver, we have two magazine releases, an AK paddle style release and an M4 style release that you'll never use unless your right index finger is about 2 inches longer than mine. Both of these releases work fine and magazines lock into place positively, or at least that's true for the magazine that came in the box. Well, of course, besides all this wobble you get after putting the magazine in. The ambidextrous selector switch also works fine. I flipped both sides of the selector a lot since I first received the MP5, and they still feel the same. There's just a little bit of wobble between the selections, but once you let go of the switch, it just goes right back to where you placed it. As for controls, this MP5 gets my approval quite easily. The overall quality thus far has been rather nice. It's not the most robust AEG I've ever had, but as for MP5s I've handled, this is the nicest. This quality runs to the very end with the full stock that doesn't wobble or creak at all. The A4, as seen here, will come with this full stock, while the A5 model comes with the collapsing stock. This stock works just as you would assume it would. No faults to mention, just another well-constructed piece for these MP5s. Removing this pin on the A4 and pulling stock from the rest of the SMG, you'll expose your small type battery connections and MOSFET. You can also just push the butt of the stock downward to get to your connections, but I just preferred to remove the whole thing. The location of these connections is swapped on the A5 model. You'll see the connections after you take off the handguard, which is very easy. I'd say that you should use a smaller LiPo battery since there's not much space to work with in here. And with the A4 model, you'll have to dodge the sling points and the pin holders inside of the full stock as they run all the way through. You can still work around this though. I still got this entire 11.1 Titan power battery into the stock, so I'm sure anyone else will be fine. The VFC MP5 has been a real treat to review so far, and I do like the trademarks that stand out both on top of the receiver and along the sides. And there's no denying that this feels like a high-end airsoft gun, but can it perform like one? Well, at the chronograph, I was seeing readings in the 360s to the higher 350s. You'll either have to make a spring swap to take this close quarters gun into most American CQB arenas, or stick to field play. Then I got some pretty low rate of fire ratings with the battery I was using, so I made a quick swap to another 11.1 Titan power battery, but I got the same readings. I was honestly pretty surprised by this, as I was expecting a greater rate of fire than this. However, while in semi, you can get some pretty quick trigger responses, and the gearbox sounds clean as it cycles. Then at the range with a bottle of 0.2 gram BBs, I found that at 150 feet, you'll be pegging players with ease. But I would honestly recommend 0.25 grams and maybe some 0.28 gram BBs to tighten up your accuracy. So there's a bit to talk about now. There's a lot to love about the VFC MP5s. Build construction is neat and strong in all the places that you'd want strength. Trademarks like the personalized serial number look crisp and controls are tight. And of course, it looks pretty stellar if you're going out with an A4 model. You can even swap the stocks and handguards around if you have both models, as long as you can work with the battery connections. But I'm not too sure if real stocks and handguards will fit right away. I'm sure they would, but I won't promise anything that I know nothing about. But oh man, an all-wood equipped MP5 with straight magazines would look beautiful. The magazine wobble out of the box and the low rate of fire is a bit concerning, and just like how my Ares G36 would get very hot around the motor area, so does this MP5, and it does so very quickly. That's always been a concern of mine when using my G36, and it looks like I can't get away from it when using the VFC MP5. I would have also liked to see the metal parts crafted from steel to feel even more like a real MP5. Improving on this would have made me obviously approve more of this SMG. The VFC ECS version 2 gearbox from the highly respected Avalon series is what powers this MP5, and with quick access to the gearbox and the spring in the back, well, you can make quick fixes when you'd like to, so you can join any CQB game with the right spring to bring down that FPS just a bit. To give my honest opinion, I want this MP5 for the build quality and for the trigger responses, and of course for the range, and of course to give it some good slaps. But I know that this is not a perfect gun. The only thing I can do now is pray that one day we'll be able to purchase an MP5 SD from VFC of the same quality, if not better, or even get an MLI model in the RAL 8000 color scheme. But like I said, that's just my prayers. But I really have to thank Airsoft GI for sending me this VFC MP5 A4 and for letting me check out the A5 model while I was at their California store. I really enjoyed making this review, and I'm ready to see what you guys thought about this replica in the comments down below, where you can decide if this SMG is worth $350 or not, and where you guys can decide if my new shirt is worth what I'm charging for. Yeah, that's right, I made the first USAirsoft shirt, and it's on sale right now on Teespring. I'll be sure to leave links down below in the description, and every purchase will definitely help out the channel, so thank you to anyone who purchases a shirt. Now, I have so many more guns to review, and we're so close to breaking 170,000 subscribers, so please slap that subscribe button if you haven't already to show me your support if you're new around here. And with that, I guess it's time for my ending shots, and for me to get started on my 2019 collection video. But until our next video drops from the city of San Antonio, this has been Scott Hollenbeck, and I will be sure to see you all next time. .28 with the VFC MP5 at 75 feet. Pretty easy stuff.